you will earn your money on yachts. Like, don't make any mistake. Hey sailors, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and today we're going to be discussing the difference between working on super yachts and cruise ships. But before we start, please press like and subscribe for more cruise ship content, and if you have any video suggestions you can leave them in the comments down below, or you can let me know over on Instagram at Cruising as Crew. And also I just want to say a massive thank you. So today marks the 1 year anniversary of my first YouTube upload. So I have been doing this for a year and we have 4,000 sailors, which I honestly can't believe. When I started, I really didn't think that it would grow as fast as it has. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed, who watches the videos, likes, comments, sends me video suggestions, even sends me questions, and you've really made a girl's dream come true. So thank you very much. But as for now, let's get into the video. As you guys know, I work on cruise ships. I have never worked on super yachts. But there are quite a lot of people who work on cruise ships and then they change their career to yachts. So I know quite a lot of people now who work on super yachts. So talking to them, I have acquired quite a lot of information, and I thought, since the majority of my audience are people who want to work on cruise ships, you would also be interested in maybe working on yachts. Or maybe you haven't even thought of it as an option. But I'm here to tell you that it is an option. And it's one that, you know, you should really consider, because while there are a lot of differences, there are also a lot of similarities. So the first big difference between working on cruise ships and super yachts. When I'm on a cruise ship, my job is my job. I'm either a beauty therapist, a waiter, a chef, a housekeeper. Whereas when you are on super yachts, you will interchange jobs quite a lot. So you might go on as a qualified beauty therapist, but you will also be a housekeeper and a waitress. You know, you will do quite a lot of jobs. And this is due to the fact that the crew is significantly smaller than that of crew that you would find on a cruise ship. You know, on a yacht, there's going to be maybe 20 to 30 crew members. On a cruise ship, there's going to be 800. Both obviously depending on the size, but there's a huge difference in the number of the crew. So I think yachts can be more stressful in that regard, because let's say a passenger comes to me on a cruise ship but they have a complaint about their room, I can walk them to a receptionist or a housekeeper and say, you know, this is their department, this is what they deal with. Whereas when you are on a yacht, you are everyone, so a lot more things rest on your shoulders. But number two is the fact that you will earn a lot of money on yachts. As opposed to cruise ships, which I've said in previous videos, especially if you live in England, Australia, America, the wage you're going to get on cruise ships is very similar to a wage that you could earn doing a job back home. Whereas on yachts, you're going to be on quite a significant wage. However, you will deserve it because you will be working incredibly hard. For example, if you're on a super yacht and the owners of that super yacht are on board and they decide that they want a meal in the middle of the night, the chef is going to wake up in the middle of the night and make the meal. If they decide they want a massage at 3 in the morning, the therapist on the yacht is going to wake up at 3 in the morning to do the massage. Like, you do whatever it takes. Whereas on a cruise ship, you have set working hours. I mean, you'll work hard, don't get me wrong. However, if someone calls reception and says, I want a massage in the middle of the night, they're going to say, the spa's closed, ma'am, try again in the morning. So you will earn your money on yachts. Like, don't make any mistake. I feel like a lot of people think, oh, I'll go into yachts because it's so much money, and they don't actually realise how hard you have to work for that money. However, if you do want to work at sea and your primary reason for doing so is to save money, then you are going to earn more money working on yachts. Number three, both jobs are hard to get into. So whatever job you want to do on a cruise ship and whatever job you want to do on a yacht, they're not easy to get into. However, there are quite a lot of jobs and recruitment agencies that will hire people who have had no experience on boats. Whereas to work on yachts, you need to have some kind of marine experience, which is why a lot of people go from cruise ships to yachts because they've had that experience on ships, which allows them to get a job on yachts. So for that reason, I would say yachts is a little bit harder to get into. But if it's something that you like the sound of, then you could always do 1 contract, 2 contracts on cruise ships, and then try and get a job on yachts. When you're going into yachting, you have to pay for the majority of paperwork yourself. Whereas going into cruise ships, most recruitment agencies and most cruise lines will pay for your flights, your medical, your STCW training. Not all of them, like there are some cruise ship companies and recruiters that don't pay for it. You have to pay for it, or maybe you have to pay for it up front and they'll refund you. But when you go to work on yachts, 9 times out of 10 you are going to have to front for your STCW, which is going to be like £800, your medical, which is, I mean, can be from £150 to £250, your visa, whatever visa is required for that yacht, a seaman's book if you need one. So you are going to have to front for a lot of the costs yourself when it comes to going on yachts. Whereas obviously doing all this research into yachting, I was like, well, actually I could go on yachts now because I have the experience and all the qualifications. You know, I have a valid medical, a valid STCW, valid visas, everything's valid, and that has all been paid for by the cruise line. So if I wanted to, I could now go into yachting and not have to front for anything because I've already got it. So once again, if you do start your maritime career on cruise ships, then maybe it'll save you money in the long run, because if the cruise line pays for your STCW, well, that's valid for 5 years. So if you only do 1 contract on cruise ships and then move to yachts, you've already got all of the paperwork. Actually getting the jobs is very different. With the cruise ships, you are always going to apply online, whether it's through a recruitment agency or directly through the cruise line. However, with yachts, you could only apply online through a recruitment agency if you have experience. If you don't have any maritime experience, they're not even going to look at your application. So people who want to go into yachting who have no maritime experience, what they do is a thing called dock walking. So they'll get their STCW, get their visas, get everything they need, and they will fly to Monaco or the south of France, basically where all the super yachts are, and they'll literally walk up and down the dock asking the crew on the yachts if they need an extra hand. And by doing day work, that's how they build up their experience. But this can be very time consuming, risky and pricey, because if you've flown all the way to Monaco, obviously you have to pay for accommodation and your flights and everything. And there's no guarantee that you're going to get day work. And if you do get day work, it's usually a small fee or you do it for free to gain experience. Now, in an ideal situation, this will lead to you getting a job on the super yacht, because the crew will see what a great job you did and they'll be like, oh, actually, we need someone else. Or maybe a few weeks down the line, they'll say we need someone else. But there are no guarantees. You could be dock walking for quite a while before you actually get a job, which means you have to have quite a lot of money in the bank to be able to get the job in the first place. Whereas with cruise ships, although I've said it's quite unpredictable, it's unpredictable when you're on board, but there's not really much unpredictability about getting the job itself. You know, they're not going to tell you to get a medical, an STCW and a C1D visa if they're not going to give you a job. So with cruise ships, I would say there's a bigger safety net there. You're not going to like spend your money in vain, if that makes sense. Both jobs entail delivering exceptional customer service. However, yachts it's just another level. Like, you have to be so willing to do whatever it takes. As I was saying earlier, if the guest wakes up at 3 in the morning and wants a massage, you've got to get up and do that massage, and it's got to be exceptional. Whereas on a cruise ship, if a passenger asks a request that's really out there, you have the right to say no. And that doesn't mean that you should be rude to the guest, never. But you don't have to do whatever it takes. Like, you have your job description and that's what you stick to. And if someone asks you to do something that is outside of that job description, you have the right to turn them down. Whereas on yachts, from what I've heard, when the passengers are on board, when the yacht owners are on board, if you need to work a 24-hour day, you will work a 24-hour day. You just do whatever it takes. And so I really admire people who work on yachts, because to work the kind of shifts that they do is incredible. And because of that, I think if you were going to go from working a job on land to working on a yacht, you would have a big shock to the system. Whereas I think cruise ship kind of eases you into that, because as I've said, you will work exceptional hours on a cruise ship. You know, 14-hour days, it's a long day, but you cannot exceed that, or very rarely anyway. So I feel like I could work on yachts having worked on cruise ships and knowing how tough that can be. I'm like, okay, well, I'm ready for an even bigger challenge now, so I'll go on yachts. Once again, I do think if you are considering going on yachts, cruise ships is kind of a great stepping stone, because it will prepare you for being able to take orders, working ridiculously long hours, never leaving work. Obviously you leave, you have breaks and stuff, but you're always on board. You are always representing the cruise line, or if you're on the yacht, you're always at work. It's not like you go home and you're like, right, I'm gonna watch some TV now. Sharing a cabin and just being on a boat. Like, I feel like being on a cruise ship is, it's a floating city. That is a lot easier to get used to than actually it's a boat. I mean, they're beautiful boats, yachts I should say, they're beautiful, they're incredible, but it's a boat. It's not like a floating city with all these amenities. So if you have had no maritime experience, I can imagine that that would be a huge adjustment from living on land to living on a boat. But I think for both jobs, you have to be passionate about delivering incredible customer service. You have to love being around people all the time, because cruise ships and yachts, you're surrounded by crew, if not passengers, all the time. You have to be adaptable, because things change every second. You know, you have a plan, but nothing goes to plan. So you have to be able to deal with change very well. And you have to be willing to push yourself to the limits, emotionally and physically. You know, with working really long hours physically and emotionally, both jobs entail being away from home for long periods of time, being at sea, so you might not have good reception, you might not always be able to call home. Living in close quarters with people can take its toll emotionally. So both of them are incredible adventures and incredible challenges, but the rewards make it all worth it. Otherwise no one would do it. But I really hope you have enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, then smash that like button and that subscribe button for me. And once again, thank you so much. 1 year of being on YouTube, 4,000 sailors. I honestly couldn't be happier. So I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye.